Hello, it's April 2022, and I briefly want to talk about something that I've talked about for many years, especially over the past few years, with what I now call the old current worldwide events and what's being imposed. And it's a topic that what I observe, most people miss. And that has to do with of like mind, finding people of like mind. And for example, with the old current worldwide events and what was being imposed, how people who are opposed what was being imposed would find others, especially online, and have the illusion that there's a lot of people, they're the majority. Now, I'm not saying a lot of people weren't complaining about it, didn't like this or that, but as I've said, there was a divide because some people didn't like some parts but accepted other parts. Some people rejected everything. But that's not the focus here. What I really want to focus on of like mind, and you may come into, for example, a profession with good intentions to do good. I'll give an example. For example, a lot of people when they're young who want to get into law enforcement, they have good intentions. They want to help people and stuff. And I've known a lot of people who since childhood want to become a police officer, and after a year or two it's just like, yeah, they're all their dreams and everything, there's like, yeah, it's not what they expected. And I'm not stating or implying anything bad about any of the professions. I'm going to use examples. I just want to make some points here. And you look at people, and I've seen law students, I've talked to them in court and stuff like that, in my previous profession, and talking with them, they have, I don't know how to put it, they daydream about, they want to make changes, and they're with laws or whatever, they want to do good, maybe help people or help a movement or whatever. And this is not about if any of these movements are good or bad, that's not the point. And they go into it with that mindset. People who want to become or get into politics of some sort, whatever level, because they want to see changes. And all these people who go into these professions that I've given examples of very quickly realize that it's not what they thought. You have to go along with the status quo. Now, a lot of people stick with it, and this ties into of like mind. So you may go into, for example, a profession, or even, and this applies to social settings as well. So this is not just dealing with professions, with one mindset. But then when you're around people who going along with the status quo, you start to, over time, think, well, this is normal. This is everybody, even outside of a profession or outside of a social group. And you start to see the world through that lens. And then you become part of it without even realizing it. You start to just fit in. And then you make friends within these professions, and everyone has this like mind. And you start to change because, you think, for example, oh, well, I never realized this is how the world really is. Again, it could be professions, social groups, or, when you look at, for example, gangs, somebody who has grown up in like street gangs and stuff, they start to see the world through that lens, and it's become their social norm. It may not be a profession, but it's a lifestyle, and there you go. Now there's a big problem with that, because you could be a minority, have a minority mindset, but think, this is how everyone is, or how everyone should be. And now we start to segue into the rise of the busybody, and then trying to impose and everything else. So again, this is not a diss towards any of the professions or gangs or anyone. I'm simply trying to highlight something where people, when they become part of something, start to see it through that lens and start to become part of it. Now, when you look at, for example, injustice and crookedness and everything else, well, this is normal, right? Everyone's doing it. And a lot of people who may not even participate stick with whatever profession, but they remain silent, which makes them just as bad. And, people are saying, well, I have family to support, I have bills to pay, everything else, and then I get it. But the problem is you become part of it. It becomes part of your character. And over time, and we're all human, you become part of the problem. So, and then when you have people who want to go make a change for a cause, really the example that comes to mind is when you look at feminism and how they've totally corrupted family court system and all the injustice imposed on fathers or husbands. And, I'm going to just mention this case with Johnny Depp, and everyone's talking about it. Really, it's just a huge distraction. Like, why they're publicizing this and why anyone would be interested in someone else's dirty laundry is beyond me. But we see how there's, and we don't know how this is going to conclude or anything else, but we just see from the social side of things how a lot of people were originally, anyway, defaulting and supporting his ex-wife. And there might be a bit of a shift happening here, whatever. But, overall, the family court system has been bastardized to the point of extreme corruption against men. Now, if there's any feminists watching, rant away, I don't care. But so we see how somebody has gone into, for example, a profession and managed to make change. Now, people who want to make a positive change, an actual positive change, tend not to. And people wonder, well, why hasn't someone, for example, in politics, gone in and made things right? Well, because if you want to keep your career, by the time you get to that point where you can do something, you've already established, you're relying on your income, you have a family and everything else, and it's like, well, I got too much to lose. The odd time there's somebody who steps up, and usually they lose everything because they're not going along with the status quo. And I'm not going to get into politics and politicians and these people being really just puppets for something else. That's a different tangent, which I'm not going to get into. And before anyone in politics starts saying, oh, he's talking bad about me, I'm not saying everybody, okay? I'm just generalizing here. And so, yeah, so you have movements, people gravitating towards a particular movement. For example, everyone who was opposed to the old current worldwide events and what was being imposed, and thinking, oh, well, everyone's thinking like this, everyone's thinking like me, and then you might have a common ground, but then you're going to say, well, they like pineapple on pizza, or they don't like pineapple on pizza. Well, all of a sudden they're a mortal enemy, right? And it's ridiculous. And then we see a big push for individuals in society, socially, to be drawn to, find something that resonates, which is a ridiculous word to use, with them, and find other people. And if you don't click on every point, then, well, just throw it all away, right? And there's a huge part of that with detachment from individuals. We've been so fractured and so isolated. Even before 2020, people have been so isolated and just tunnel visioned with their own lives, themselves, and whatever. But another real quick point is respect. We have lost respect, not only for each other in this world, but for our own selves. we don't have respect. And you really see this a lot with the youth of today not respecting, for example, elders. There was a time, even when I was a kid, you respect your elders. You talk to them with respect. You don't curse with them. You don't treat them bad. You greet them. And when you look at, for example, the Central and Eastern Europe, adults will be walking down the street, or such as somebody older, and kids will stop, let you pass, and greet you with respect. We don't see that. What we see is youth punching even elderly people on a bus, for example, because of whatever. And we've lost respect. Respect means that we get rid of, we omit, eliminate these divisions. Pineapple on pizza. If you don't like pineapple on pizza, or whether you do like pineapple on pizza, it's respect. And obviously pineapple on pizza is an insignificant topic. That's why I mention it, although it could be very important. But you apply that to anything. Respecting each other would solve a lot of issues, and that transfers into like mind. Because if somebody is not of like mind, but you respect them anyway, we as the human species will do a lot better. Anyway, just things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, when is it going to get easier? When you die.